So I wanted to share some of my Mid-Atlantic BDR trip that I did earlier this year. I started over the summer on my BMW G650GS. That's what you'll see in some of these initial clips. And then later I finished the trip on my CRF300L Rally. This was the first video I had taken. It was actually kind of in the middle of the route because I actually did this kind of an inside-out route starting around Harrisburg, PA, and then heading south into West Virginia, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia kind of area, and then later did the northern parts of PA, and then went back and finished later. So this was kind of the first video that I had taken. But you know, the trip in total was about you know, about 2,000 miles ish, give or take. I didn't record all the mileage, but I took a bunch of video along the way, so just wanted to share some of that, give you a sense of what the route was like, what the day-to-day kind of was like, you know, and I'm gonna sort of show some of the typical conditions, and then some of the tricky spots and some of the fun spots. Type of thing basically is what a lot of the route was like. This is a little bit less wooded than most of it. You know, a lot of it was kind of the forest tunnel, but this was kind of on the edge of forest land and some farmland, if I recall. I think this was one of the initial kind of rockier sections, and as someone who's pretty new to dirt riding, you know, it was fine, but it was, you know, really the longest I had actually ever done on dirt in my entire life by this point, because I had been riding for, you know, better part of the day in this section. But, you know, sort of typical hard-packed dirt, some ruts, some rocks, that sort of thing. Famous toll bridge. That is a pretty sketchy wooden bridge. I forget what the toll was, but this is one of the places that is considered one of the memorable ones on the street part of the route. Rickety old bridge without guardrails. It's pretty interesting. this section was just as you're entering the George Washington National Forest, but actually that you can see on the right, those cows, this was actually like just open pasture, which I didn't expect to find on this route, which is actually really interesting. So, you know, they have those kind of cow grates. Here's one right there, and that, I guess, prevents cows from walking over it. Maybe their hooves get stuck. I never really understood that, but there was no gate, so you just kind of go through, and you're riding through the cow pasture. So this is me for the first time going into a water crossing, which I've never done before. This is also my first encountering with terrorist gravel right there, which I am absolutely struggling with. And then the water crossing coming up. Obviously the worst crossing technique you could possibly imagine, and stopping in the middle, which was ridiculous. I've learned a lot since then, but this was really deep in the woods. Actually, I was really surprised how remote this part of the trail got. That was the first of a couple of water crossings, but it did start to get pretty sketched out at this point. This stuff looks fairly easy on the video, but some of these turns with the rocks and whatever, especially on a bike that I'm not used to riding off-road. Actually, honestly, at this point, I wasn't really used to riding this bike at all. Way sketchier than it seemed. I mean, this hill climb, you obviously can't see it on the video, but I actually remember this climb, even though it's been a couple of months. I was wrecked at this point after the water crossing and whatnot. This was actually really, really tricky. This is me attempting to explain that I had just done my first water crossings ever, but of course I didn't bother changing the mic, so you can't really hear a word that I'm saying. So, yeah. So you'll notice on this, the sound has certainly changed, as has the camera angle. This is where I switched over from the BMW to the Honda CRF300L Rally, which is what I finished the rest of the route on. So this was section, I believe it was section 6, which was from Mount Holly Springs to McVeigh, PA. This was basically a bridge was out that I had to turn around and do a giant detour. The picture of the out bridge didn't get picked up on this, but is on my my Instagram. But this is basically some central PA fire roads, logging roads kind of thing, state forest stuff. It's actually funny, as I watch back and review these clips, watching the footage of the 650 and the Honda back to back. I mean, psychologically, I was in a totally different space with the Honda. The Honda also weighs like 100 pounds less than the 650. And, you know, the engine obviously sounds different and whatever, and it actually sounds a lot sportier, even though it's whatever, almost like half the horsepower, I guess, of the 650. But also by this point, I feel like my riding confidence was a heck of a lot better. I was having a lot more fun. I wasn't freaked out. And I think it sort of, I mean, obviously these roads are a little bit faster too, but I think it wasn't only that. I was certainly a lot more comfortable with what was going on. So this is the beginning of section 9, which is the northernmost section of the route. This was leaving the guest house that I stayed in, and then heading back out to the beginning of the trail. As you can see from some of the last clips, it started to get some fall colors, and it really only got better from here on out. It was, as you got deeper into the woods and higher elevations, the colors really started to pop. It was just absolutely incredible. And when I ended at the New York State border, as you'll see coming up, I jumped back down to Virginia and then keep going, sections 1, 2, and 3 to finish. And the colors down there were even more incredible. But this is as we're starting basically the final day in PA.